This program has been made possible by Weatherby Asset Management. The views and opinions expressed are those of the guest.
Welcome to Wealth Psychology at Sylvia Global Media. I'm Emily Bouchard, your host today. I'm here with Dr. Tom Deans, author of Willing Wisdom, and we're talking about how to go about having your will and not putting it off, and some key ways that you can really start this process and bring forward a way to transfer your values and your valuables to your next generation. So can we talk a little bit more about what you were just speaking into, Tom, in terms of families, how they transfer their wealth? If I were sitting here with your kids right now, they're what, 8 and 10? They're young. How old are your kids?
They're a little bit older. They're 18 and 19. So
oh my gosh! Well, you just seem so young. I just Okay, so if I was sitting here with your 18 and 19-year-old, and we were having a conversation, and I was like, gosh, I'm so sorry about the loss of your father. What is it that he transferred to you? What is it you remember about your father? And do you think that he would have any regrets or anything that anything you wish that you had a chance to ask him about?
Well, I think they watched me sell my father's business in 2007, so they watched me have my liquidity event, and so I think they've also watched me, post-sale go on to work exceedingly hard, writing 2 books and traveling extensively. I mean, I've never worked harder, but I'm working for very different things, and I think they found that curious, but I think they've also seen me kind of tap into a real passion. I ran a very large plastics manufacturing company. That was the family business, and now I'm a professional speaker. I give 100 events and all around the world. This is what I should be doing. I was good at making plastic. This I am really good at. So I kind of found my nirvana, and I think the gift that I've kind of given them, I think they would say, is the lust to find their nirvana, to find that thing that gives them extraordinary passion, and then become the very, very best at it. And I cannot tell you what they'll decide right now. But what I'm almost certain of is that they're not going to join my publishing company and sell my book and give my speech. It would be a kind of a ludicrous example of a family business. They will do what they're good at, and what they're good at is the thing that they're passionate about.
Wow, that's great. And what values do you think that you've transferred in terms of, like we were talking about the consumption, and you've written about it in your book. Have they read your book? Would they say, yeah, my dad walks his talk, or what would they say?
Oh well, absolutely. I mean, we're Canadians, but somehow there has to be a Swiss gene in there, because my son is a Swiss banker. He still has his first dollar from his first birthday gift from his grandparents 18 years ago. He is phenomenally parsimonious. Okay, he's cheap. It is unbelievable. I'll tell you, I got to borrow money from him. He is so cautious. He is so careful. So the challenge, actually, it's interesting, because the challenge there has been to help him take risk, to see the value of taking risks and not to be cautious. He's cautious by nature. He's an introvert. He's incredibly cerebral. So that's the challenge there. On the other side, my daughter has no problem with shopping. So we're working on taking less risk. It's very interesting. Same kids, same house, same genes, and yet we have two very different kids with relationships to money. So two challenges.
Did they have meetings with you guys from the time they were 5 about your wills and what you're up to?
Yeah, very early on, and in fact, the 7 questions that I've shared in the book that I'm offering as questions for families to ask themselves to start their conversations about wills are actually abbreviations. We actually use more, but 7's a good number. It's a good way to slide into it. But yeah, we have annual family meetings. We go through what's happened in the last year in terms of our financial position, who's got what, net assets up, down, sideways, and they've been both over the course of years. So they've seen not just the good, but the transitions and the difficulties in the down years. 2008, how could you not have gone down with the public markets? They saw that. I think they understand. They've had a front row seat about the nature of money and risk in ways that many kids don't.
Yeah, that's great. And do you think that how would they describe those meetings? Like, would they say, yeah, Dad talks the whole time and we listen and go, uh-huh, or is it a real dialogue, and are they answering those questions as well, or are they just hearing from their parents about it?
Well, there's two parts to that. So the questions that we ask our kids are the same questions that we ask of ourselves, and we're quite deliberate about that. And we're also quite deliberate. I use the expression in the book. We were given two ears and one mouth, and we try to use them in that proportion. We try to listen far more than we talk at the family meetings. So it really is a forum for everyone to talk equally about the future, about what the money can do and should do. And it's very interesting how those conversations have evolved, how this proportion of money that we leave to charity versus what we leave to our children is a moving target. I find that absolutely fascinating. And there's a tension, a natural tension between those two ultimate channels, right? Family versus charity. And in families where there is wealth and those conversations are never had, of course we know the government, when they apply their formula, doesn't make allowance for planned giving. They don't make allowance for the charitable section to receive maybe what someone intended. And that's a real lost opportunity.
Yeah.
I think the greatest gift is when you can create philanthropic endeavors with the collaboration of the people who will be stepping in and stewarding that money and driving the future of that money in those organizations. So, my grandfather left a large gift to my alma mater, his alma mater, and I sit on a committee. We hire a speaker, a world thinker, to come in and deliver a lecture every year. So it's one of the most enjoyable parts of my year to actually sit on that committee, select a speaker, fly to my old college, and listen and watch what my grandfather's gift will do in perpetuity. It's an amazing thing. And I was there when that gift was created. I have the whole story. I was part of that whole story. Not my money, but my gift, because I get to participate in it.
I want to make a point about this because a lot of people think, oh, you can only do that if you've got millions and millions. And I'm thinking about when my mother died really suddenly of a cerebral hemorrhage bursting when she was 44. And it was a big shock, and certainly didn't have any of these conversations. And that's not going to happen in my generation now. But one of the things that we definitely had was her values were transferred. We knew without a doubt that she was passionate about nursing, because she was a nurse, and children, and education, because those were really strong values that she had held and embodied in the course of our lives. And we said, in lieu of any kind of flowers or anything that people might want to do, and people wanted some way to acknowledge their grief and loss, is we created a fund in her name at the Children's Hospital, where my father was. He was head of a department at the Children's Hospital in Houston, and so we created this fund, and it was for nurses, kids, and some sort of gift that would be given to some sort of. There was an application process to do with their education. And we loosely defined education to mean anything that they wanted to study and learn more about. And so, let's see, that was in 1980, and my father every year sends us a report of the who came to the scholarship meeting, how many scholarships have been given, what lives have been touched by it. And we've had children that were given gifts in the 80s coming back with their kids and sharing about what the ripple effect has been for them, because they were given money to buy a computer when they went to school, or they were able to get that violin for their violin lessons, and how music is now a big part of their lives. And we really see how my mom's legacy is going to live way beyond my dad being there. He'll retire, and that fund and that gift giving will keep going, and it's a way to keep that alive in our family. And somebody from our family will keep being invited to go to that. And I think that that's a really good point to make, that it's not about only if you have this money to say, I want it to go to an organization, but people can really design ways of having their legacy live on based on their values and what they care about.
Yeah, see, now I'm certain that other viewers will pick up on what I just picked up when you were telling that story. You got really animated. You got really, really authentic. Like you were moved by that gift. Mm-hmm. It shaped who you are. Oh, yeah. And you've just told that story. I don't know how many viewers you have today, but you've shaped something. Your mother's gift shaped you, and you shaped someone else. And it's rippling forward, and it'll never stop. And this is the great gift. It's not our stuff. It's how we leave this world, not what we leave necessarily. It's how we do it and how we change lives moving forward in the most interesting and peculiar ways. And it starts with a conversation and with a dream.
Wow, thank you. I think that I'd love to end with one of the questions that you find is the best way for somebody to start off this conversation, and people can get Willing Wisdom if they want to learn the other 6 questions. But I think that this is such a valuable thing you're offering to people, and would love to hear which question you'd invite people to open up the conversation with.
Well, I think my 7, I would say I do have a favorite, and I would say how would an inheritance advance the dreams of your family and your community? Because I just think that one it's personal. And I think the person who's doing the willing, doing the giving, will learn so much when they hear, often for the first time, how someone can use a modest amount of money today. Okay, we're not necessarily talking about transferring wealth when someone dies. There are ways of transferring while you're alive, so you get to enjoy it. When you get to release the potential, the creative potential of your emissaries, your family today, to learn that they're interested in helping as the gift that your mother, has made. Those are powerful things. I mean, this is an awesome family that can unlock those stories. I still give to a charity personally that I learned of from my grandparents. It was called Sleeping Children, and they provide bed kits to Africa. Now, I haven't been to Africa, and my only reason for giving is kind of the stories that I heard and how I could see my grandfather get animated, telling stories the way that you got animated right there, the way exactly you just got excited, remembering your mother, is what excites me today to continue that gift. So that one question about asking your beneficiaries, how do you think my money can release your dreams? What an awesome gift to yourself. Never mind your beneficiary. What an awesome gift to yourself to learn right up to the moment that you die.
You know, one of the things you're describing, it's so amazing when I hear it, because it's like every person's dream to be able to ask that and to be able to answer it. And the other side of it that I see so often is my dream and what it is I would do is so vulnerable and so sacred. And it's like the last thing a lot of people would ever put in front of somebody who has a lot of power and control and say, if they have a sense of it being judged or put down or not being honored. And I think that one of the coaching pieces that we do a lot with parents is how to create that safe space so that when they do invite their children to risk saying what really matters to them, that there's a listening there. There's a space of, oh, that's important to you.
Yeah. Emily, Henry Ford's father was a farmer. Steve Jobs' biological father was a restaurateur. Something led those kids to go off and do something profoundly different than their own parents and create things that are just magnificent. I mean, this is the goal of parenting, is not to create children that replicate who you are and what you think, but to create the opportunity to for them to live and become the people they're meant to be. And we cannot presume what that is.
Well, I like what you're saying. I'm just thinking about, wow, we need another show about how to coach people and how to do this. I'm thinking about a really successful entrepreneur I was working with in a family meeting. He and his wife, very successful, 4 kids, young 20s, early, like later teens. Great kids, really industrious. They all had different personalities. Dad was a fabulous hunter. He loved to go do big game hunting. And, you know, we talked about, well, his values had a lot to do with the way you give back is you create really thriving businesses that create jobs for people. And so then we opened it up, and it was a space of, and what if your daughter's way of giving back is to go to Africa and document, not with a gun, the big game, but her camera, and to start an NGO over there to really further the importance of being wise about how we're treating animals when it's in direct opposition to your values. And it's not about creating jobs, but it's about looking at the environment and our impact. And facilitating that kind of conversation was not something, because there was no way she was going to bring forward a value like that with his very strong certainty about what it's supposed to look like.
I love it. I love it. That's important work. And I think the role of, we've touched on it, but we haven't gone into it, is the role of an advisor. There is nothing more tricky than the intersection of money and family relationships. And to have a third party in the room like yourself to manage these emotions, particularly in the early days when this culture of talking about money isn't natural. It's not the natural inclination. It's awfully important, I think, for families to have the wisdom to bring someone in, just to get things started. Some families may thrive and take off. Others need more care and ongoing care. But I'll tell you, when it really starts to happen for a family, it's amazing.
Oh, it's magic, and they get exactly what it is that they want, and it's like learning the skills. It's not hard to learn the skills. They're simple, but it's not necessarily easy to practice again and again because we have habits. But noticing it and naming it the moment that they show up and saying, "Oh, wait, that was an automatic response. Let me try again," can make a huge difference. And I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, one father and daughter. We were trying to encourage the daughter to come forward with something that really mattered to her, and then she confided that she didn't feel safe because when he had asked before about, what is it that you would want of ours that really matters to you, and she said, well, gosh, that nativity scene, I have so many wonderful memories of that. I'd love to have that. And he just immediately, his automatic way of being said, what are you talking about? You're not religious. And it was like, wait, there was other values she was expressing, and she was like, oh, can't speak about what I want, so that kind of slowing it down and remembering that if somebody's coming forward and something that they care about, the first move would be really wise to be one of curiosity, discovery. Oh, I never would have imagined that. Tell me more about what that means to you and why you would want that. That's surprising to me. Is much more useful than, what are you talking about? You can't, that doesn't make any, that judgment piece really keeps kids at whatever age, this was an adult, being able to, it's like that sense of, am I being opened up and invited to step in, so then, I'm going to end up getting slammed again? That's, I think, the key, that you open up such a vital, valuable conversation for families with this book, and I can't recommend it highly enough. These questions, Dr. Tom Deans, in terms of what he's offering families as an option and possibility. And we're going to have more conversations, Tom, because how to have these conversations is what it's really about.
Fantastic. Well, I'd love to continue the conversation. To be continued.
Yay! Thank you. Where's your next speaking engagement? Where can people find you or see or book you? Let us know how to get in touch with you.
I'm off to beautiful Whistler out in British Columbia. To a resort to speak to a group of business valuators, but I'm doing a large event in September as well for the Hamilton Community Foundation. I do a lot of work for philanthropic organizations. A lot of advisors hire me to speak to their clients. So it's if you go to my website, you'll see my travel schedule, and I'm both on willingwisdom.com and everyfamiliesbusiness.com are my two books.
Great. Wow. Thanks for being here, Dr. Tom Deans, talking about your book, Willing Wisdom, and we are definitely going to have you back. Thanks so much, and thanks for tuning in to Wealth Psychology at Sylvia Global Media. I'm Emily Bouchard, your host, and Dr. Jamie Traeger-Muni sends her regards from Israel. Thanks for tuning in.
Weatherby Asset Management is dedicated to providing exceptional wealth management services by forming partnerships built on trust, understanding, and thoughtful advice. For more than 20 years, they've been offering objective perspective, personalized planning, and sophisticated investment management to individual investors and families, as well as pension plans, foundations, and endowments. Contact them at www.weatherby.com. Weatherby Asset Management, located in San Francisco and New York City.